Yo guys, and welcome to a new video. Today we are talking about the first movie of Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Alright, so Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe has officially ended, and it wasn't liked for critics and moviegoers and even MCU fans alike. There were a lot of good movies in it, there were a lot of good TV shows in it, there were also some lesser movies and some lesser TV shows in it, and we had She-Hulk in it. So, not everyone was as pleased with Phase 4 after the finishing touch of the MCU with Avengers Endgame, but now we are at Phase 5 of the MCU, starting off with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, to bring us back to this multiversal threat that is coming towards the Avengers in Avengers the Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars in 2025 and 2026 respectively. So I am very hyped to talk about this movie because this is one that is gonna lead up straight into Avengers the Kang Dynasty. And I'm ready for it. And let me just start by saying that it is weird to have this kind of a big of an impact with an Ant-Man movie because they usually get squandered after Avengers movies to get the tension down, basically. They are fun family films with lots of comedy, which really worked well for what they did. Ant-Man and the Wasp a little less than the first Ant-Man because it just felt really misplaced after Avengers Infinity War. With half the universe dusted, no one was kind of expecting a full-blown comedy movie to come out in the MCU. But now we have Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Less comedy and more dangerous stakes, and actually quite a big movie that will tell a lot of story for Phase 5 of the MCU. Was it a good choice to move away from what made the Ant-Man movies great, or was it a bad choice to do that? That's what we're gonna talk about. And let us just start with the beating heart of these movies and the beating heart of Avengers Endgame, even for me. That is Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd. And I gotta say, I very, very, very much love his character, but I was not completely feeling him in this movie. I mean, he still has some great things to do and he still has a fun character journey, but there's something about the acting and about the way that the character is portrayed in this movie that just did not stick right with me. In the beginning, he's kinda oblivious to the other problems in the world, but he just wants to spend time with his daughter and be famous for some stuff because he was just so little known that no one knew him, and now he gets the attention. Now he has been with the big guns, so now he is happy, now he's in his place. But it felt a little out of place that he wasn't all there for his daughter and that he was just all there for his new life, and I felt like that really didn't work that well for me. But from the moment we went to the quantum realm, it got better because Scott Lang slowly came back into his character, but there still was something off with the acting that threw me off quite a bit. One of those things being in the end when he is fighting Kang almost and stuff like that happens. You see it in the trailer. There is a speech that Kang gives which is really chilling and really cool and good, and then we have a counter speech from Ant-Man from Scott Lang that just did not work at all. I mean, it was just screaming most of the time and it really didn't work, and it was kind of weird seeing that from the beating heart of this movie to absolutely not be the best part of this movie. One thing I really, really loved about this character was the entire ending and what they did with that. It's something I loved in the trailers, it's something I love what they did in here. So that I really liked. And the scene in the middle where he's going to get something and a lot of shit happens in there. And that was a cool sequence too. And I really love that. For the rest, there was something wrong with the character of Ant-Man that did not stick right with me, that really was right with the other Ant-Man movies, and especially Avengers Endgame, because he was phenomenal there. The second thing I want to talk about is Kang the Conqueror, because Kang is love and Kang is life. Everything that Jonathan Majors does for this character just works phenomenally. He is great in the role. The Kang character is awesome. We already saw him in Loki, kinda, and he was interesting and good in that. But now he really gets time to shine, and he does so in a brilliant way. From the backstory, from everything that is happening now. It has been a long time in the MCU that I was genuinely scared of a character, and this was it. This was the character that made me scared, not only for the future of the MCU, but just because of what he represents and because of what he can. And that is something that I really loved in this movie. They didn't nerf him down one bit. He still is a multiversal threat. The reason he fights against an Ant-Man is interesting. And they do it well in this movie. And I was very scared that they would nerf his character to be able to fight against Ant-Man and give Ant-Man a chance of a fair fight. And I gotta say, they kind of didn't do that. They did it a little bit because Kang the Conqueror can literally one-shot the dude, but he still had a good fight. And the fight scenes between those two, those were the best parts of the movie. Those were the most interesting and the most scary parts of the movie because they were just that insanely great. And I really loved the Kang storyline in this movie, and I'm really looking forward to where it goes next into the MCU. Third, Cassie. Catherine Newton really was a fine addition to this movie as Cassie Lang, but I gotta say I still miss Abby Fortson, who played the character in the first two Ant-Man movies. And of course the girl has aged 5 years into the future because of the blip, but well, the blip happened in 2018. And when that movie Endgame came out and when Paul Rudd saw her again, it was in 2023. We're now in 2023. I still think they could have used Abby Fortson and it would have been a little bit better because, well, we are familiar with the actress playing the character. We've grown to love the actress in the character. It's not weird that they recasted it. Maybe Abby Fortson wasn't all the best in doing the superhero stuff or really just didn't want to do it anymore, but I still think to get more emotionally attached to this character, I would have needed Abby Fortson in the role. Catherine Newton did a great role in it, but I just wasn't feeling her emotionally speaking, and that's very sad because, well, she is a great addition and she is the running heart of this movie, if you think about it. Fourth, the pimps always are a nice addition, and in this movie I was really happy to see Hank shine more than he did in the last one. He had some really great stuff and really great things happening into this movie. They had some great comically funny moments between them, and that was all fine. And Hope Van Dyne, I never really cared for her character. She's always good and she's always fine, but she's nowhere special for me. And she does a fine job and I have nothing against her. The same goes for Janet Van Dyne. I haven't been with her character long enough to really care about what backstory she went through into this movie. It was sad to see some things happening to her, but it wasn't really like, oh my god, it's one of the best characters of the MCU that went through shit. No. She's just there, and she's more of a protagonist than Scott is sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I would have wanted a little bit more feeling and an emotional tragedy coming from that character into this movie and where it was placed, especially because what she means for the future of the MCU. And I really miss that. Fifth, the Quantum Realm really was a character in and of itself, and I loved it. It looked beautiful. It was visually stunning. The characters living in the Quantum Realm, they were interesting. They were very funny. They were kind of annoying in the beginning, but I really got to care for them and grow for them. And there's this light bulb dude that reminded me of Korg a lot. And there's this jelly blob dude called Vep that it has no holes. And that was really funny, and that really worked for what they were trying to do. And I liked those additions because they made the Quantum Realm feel more alive. There was this warrior woman that was very interesting and very good as an addition to the movie, but felt a little out of place and kind of forgotten near the middle of it. And we have Houses That Live, which was really awesome, and we have Bill Murray. Never forget Bill Murray is in this movie. You're gonna forget Bill Murray is in this movie, but he's in this movie. And I have nothing to say about him because he's barely in the movie. Sixth, M.O.D.O.K. I mean, M.O.D.O.K is in the movie, and I gotta say, his introduction was really cool, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the helmet. I kinda understood why they would do that, but I really just wanted to see the big floating head. But from the first moment that we really actually saw the big floating head, I was like, no, put the masks back on. It's ugly. And it was actually very ugly. Oh my God, they actually massacred M.O.D.O.K for real. I mean, with his helmet on, it's doable. It's actually quite doable, and his character is not the worst. But when that helmet is off, you really can't stand him anymore. It's oblivious, it's awful, it's ugly, it's weird. He has baby legs, and Paul Rudd makes some very good quippy jokes about it, because I think Marvel knows how actually bad M.O.D.O.K looks in this movie. And it's not only from the way he looks, but also from the way he is portrayed by Corey Stoll. It's just not good. And I was really sad because I was really looking forward to meeting M.O.D.O.K in the MCU. But then we had this, and I kinda hope they do not go back to this ever again. And last but not least, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is great in setting things up for the future of the MCU in Phase 5 and Phase 6. But I really missed a kind, cute, funny, small little Ant-Man story in there. There's a lot of Ant-Man, and obviously it's still an Ant-Man movie. It's mostly about Scott and the Pymps and the ants. But there was a spark missing, and there was something missing that made it stand out as, for one thing, an Ant-Man movie, and for the next thing, the ending of the trilogy of the Ant-Man movies. I mean, in every last movie in the trilogy, the main character, the hero of the story, lost something. And in this one, there wasn't something like that. The stakes were high because of Kang, but without Kang, there will literally be nothing left for this story to make it feel like an actual ending of the story. We were just back at the beginning. There was nothing to cap off the Ant-Man movies in general. And maybe they're making a fourth one and they're gonna do that with that movie. But I really missed a big ass climax around Ant-Man instead of just a setup for Kang in the Kang Dynasty. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania did maybe not bring the story we all wanted, but it set up some great things for the future, making this movie enjoyable, but not necessarily to watch if you're not the biggest MCU Phase 4, 5, and 6 fan. If you are a big Ant-Man fan, you're gonna have fun with this movie, as did I, and I'm gonna give this movie 715 out of 1,000 or a 7.2 out of 10. How did you like this movie? Please let me know in the comments down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you despise it? Or are you just not gonna watch it because you are not caught up to the MCU anymore after Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home? Please let me know in the comments down below because I'm really excited to hear your opinion on the MCU. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.